Hold your breath, because the internet has just handed the style crown to a couple everyone thought they knew, only to realize they were just getting started. After their latest public appearance, Çağatay Ulusoy and Hazal have quietly, confidently, and unmistakably taken over Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, reminding everyone why their names still set timelines on fire. It wasn't a red carpet engineered within an inch of its life, and it wasn't a brand campaign shrouded in marketing buzz. It was simply them, arriving together, leaning into each other's orbit, looking impossibly put together and dangerously at ease. Almost instantly, their photos became the day's universal language, shared by fans, stylists, and even the kind of accounts that rarely post anything but runway clips. Within minutes, the mood online shifted. People weren't just admiring what they wore, they were falling under a spell cast by the way they stood side by side, radiating a connection that made fashion feel like a story instead of a spectacle. Hazal made the entrance feel personal without saying a word. She chose a look that felt modern and polished, yet lightweight, with clean lines that framed her posture and a silhouette that celebrated her glow rather than disguising it. The soft sheen of her dress hinted at movement, catching the light each time she turned toward Çağatay as if the fabric itself were in on the secret. Her accessories were thoughtful and deliberate, a subtle earring, a clutch that didn't shout, and the kind of heels that add height while promising stability, the unspoken reminder that beauty lives in comfort when you know who you are. Her makeup was gentle, warm, and camera-ready, all rose-touched cheekbones and effortless radiance. You could see in her eyes that she felt cherished, and that alone did more than any designer label ever could. Standing with her, in that familiar steady way of his, was Çağatay, styled in a way that made formality look like second nature. His suit fit just close enough to make the tailoring sing, with a jacket that moved like a breath and trousers that broke at precisely the right angle. A crisp shirt, undone just enough to escape stiffness, a watch with quiet authority, shoes polished without a glare, every detail felt intentional without crossing into performance. The color story echoed Hazal's outfit, complementary tones, textures that talked to each other, and in certain angles, their silhouettes almost mirrored. It wasn't matchy, it was harmonious, the sartorial language of two people who listen. The cameras did their job, but the moments that went viral weren't the obvious ones. It was the glance between them as they paused at the entrance, the shy laugh that passed across Hazal's face when he leaned in to ask if she was comfortable, the way his hand rested lightly at the small of her back, protective without possession. A candid angle from a fan's phone caught him whispering something that made her smile with her whole face, and that split second became the heartbeat of 1,000 edits. Clips flashed across feeds layered with soft music and captions about love that doesn't need a script. People weren't arguing over labels or price tags, they were quoting the way she looked at him like he was home. Fashion enthusiasts quickly took inventory, necklines, tailoring, the tonal palette, the geometry of their poses. But what dominated the conversation was the synergy. Editors and bloggers called it a masterclass in coordination without constraint, a balance many couples try to choreograph and few authentically achieve. The pair didn't seem to be following a style memo, instead, it felt like they dressed with each other in mind. That's why the comments didn't stop at beautiful. They moved into goals, into this is how you do it, into I can't explain it, it just feels right. Even the harshest corners of fashion discourse softened, because the clothes weren't the point, they were the conduit. Then there was Hazal's glow, unmistakable and unforced. It wasn't an accessory and it wasn't a headline device, it was a presence. Her posture, the way she rested a hand over her middle without calling attention to it, the serenity in her smile, these details created a warmth that translated through screens. You could tell that the styling respected that truth, building around it rather than competing with it. And the way Çağatay adjusted, subtly shifting pace so she set the rhythm, offering an arm not as a prop but as a promise, turned a photo call into a love letter. Fashion pages praised the harmony, while lifestyle accounts called it the moment that made elegance feel human again. What followed was a full-blown wave. Edits multiplied by the hour, montages stitched together across platforms, side-by-side collages of their past appearances compared to this one, with captions celebrating the evolution. Fans noticed micro details, the shared palette, the soft textures that made them look like they had stepped out of the same frame, the way their smiles synced as if on cue. One fan pointed out a blink and you miss it moment where he adjusted her sleeve as the wind picked up. Another found the frame where her fingers tapped his wrist in a rhythm that felt like a private signal. All of it turned into fuel, and the story spread. By the time the night ended, they weren't just an admired couple, they were the day's definitive mood. The narrative wasn't built solely on clothes, though. That's why it stuck. Their demeanor felt unproduced, even in an environment designed for spectacle. They weren't posing at the camera as much as they were responding to each other. When a photographer called for one more shot, they laughed and leaned in again, and the repeats didn't look tired. Instead, the repetition revealed truth, that the way they stand together is a habit, not a trick. People online recognized it immediately. This wasn't chemistry written by a stylist, it was chemistry punctuated by a stylist. Comment sections filled with notes from longtime followers who remembered earlier collaborations and screen moments, saying the two had always sparked something intangible. Newcomers were drawn in by the ease, the relaxed confidence, the absence of desperation, the feeling that you could see them exhale. It made the whole thing accessible. Trend pages predicted that couples everywhere would start leaning into coordinated tones and tactile fabrics, not as uniforms, but as a way to reflect the conversation between two wardrobes. And beyond that, couples would remember to move with each other, to find that unspoken tempo. As the buzz grew, outlets across the spectrum picked up the story. Fashion insiders highlighted the immaculate fit and the editorial-friendly silhouette they created together. Celebrity watchers commented on the warmth, the protective gestures, the shared laughter. Lifestyle commentators underlined the balance, elegance without rigidity, charm without calculation, intimacy without oversharing. The consensus formed quickly, they weren't trying to prove anything. They were letting their presence do the talking, and that's why people listened. Each new angle that surfaced added a fresh layer. A close-up revealed the delicate stitching on Hazal's dress and the subtle texture of the fabric that caught the lights like a sigh. A wider shot caught the line of their steps in sync, the heel-to-toe rhythm that made movement look choreographed when it was really just attunement. Another clip showed them turning back to acknowledge a fan who called out, with Hazal offering a wave that felt personal and Çağatay giving a nod that felt sincere. Those seconds mattered. They placed the couple not on a pedestal, but in a shared space with the people watching, where beauty isn't aloof, it's generous. There was also a kind of quiet courage to the moment. Many public appearances lean toward overproduction, heavy styling, rigid angles, a fear of imperfection. This didn't. Hazal's glow was honored, not hidden. Her walk was unhurried. His posture adapted to hers in a way that said comfort is elegance. Together, they turned down the volume on spectacle and turned up the volume on feeling. That's what made the images linger in timelines long after the event ended. People didn't scroll past, they paused, they revisited, they saved. Soon, think pieces predicted they might be the duo to define the year's couple style, less about being the flashiest and more about setting a tone. You could feel the ripple effect immediately. Stylist breakdowns began to recommend complementary palettes rather than identical outfits. Advice threads urged partners to consider texture and movement as a dialogue, not competition. And in the comments, fans wrote about how the two reminded them to protect each other's peace in crowded rooms. It became more than trend talk. It turned into a reminder that the best looks feel like extensions of the people inside them. If you zoom out, you see why it hit so hard. The internet pays attention to drama and dazzle, but it always returns to authenticity. That's where the energy lives. And in this appearance, authenticity was the engine. Every exchange between them, every shared laugh, every quiet check-in, every look that said I see you and I'm with you, made the shoot feel less like a performance and more like an intimate moment that happened to be beautifully photographed. No wonder the edits kept multiplying. No wonder the captions kept sharpening into small poems. By the end of the night, the couple had not only dominated the day's visuals, they had also set a new bar for how to show up. You don't have to shout to be unforgettable. You don't have to match to coordinate. You don't have to script to mean it. They arrived as themselves and left as a conversation, one that flowed from fashion accounts to fan pages to anyone who appreciates tenderness dressed well. The anticipation built from there. What would they wear next? How would they evolve this language? What quiet gestures would we get to witness the next time they stand side by side? In the hours that followed, each photo they shared acted like a small spark, keeping the glow alive. A backstage snap with soft lighting, a brief video of them stepping into a car with fingers still intertwined, a close-up of Hazal's earrings that looked even more delicate up close. Each post reignited the feed. Their followers responded not with noise but with warmth, paragraphs of support, memories of earlier moments, and gratitude for the reminder that glamour can be gentle and still be powerful. What sets this moment apart is the way it balances polish with humanity. They looked exquisite, but nothing about it felt stiff. The clothes moved. The laughs were real. The glances meant something. And the internet can tell. It always can. That's why the chatter didn't burn out after the first burst of virality. It sustained. It matured into admiration. And from admiration, into inspiration, fans trying new colors, couples taking photos together in natural light, people dressing for connection rather than applause. Whether you've followed their journeys for years or you're just discovering what their names can do to a timeline, one thing is settled: the standard has shifted. In a culture obsessed with spectacle, they made subtlety feel grand. In an economy of attention, they made attention feel earned. And in a world that can make love look like a press release, they made it look like a shared breath. That's where the magic lives, and that's what people carried with them after the last camera flash faded. So watch this space. The story is far from over, and if this appearance is any sign, the next chapter will be a lesson in how to let style and sincerity dance without stepping on each other's toes. As more images and clips surface, as the edits get sharper and the conversations deepen, the anticipation will only grow. We'll be here for it, following every glance, every soft laugh, every hand offered and accepted. Because this isn't just about what they wore, it's about how they wore it together. From the first photo to the final wave goodnight, Çağatay Ulusoy and Hazal turned a simple outing into a moment that felt shared by everyone watching. Fans, fashion watchers, and casual scrollers alike found themselves pulled into the same story, one that reminds us that style means more when it reflects care. And that's why the buzz hasn't quieted. With each new post, the excitement stirs again. With each rewatch, something new reveals itself. Keep your eyes on their next move, and trust that when they step out again, they'll manage the same trick, to look unforgettable without looking like they tried to be. For all the updates, the unseen angles, and the tender details that make these moments live longer than a trending tag, stay with Turkish Spotlight Secrets, where we'll bring you every viral whisper turned audible, every breathtaking frame, and every heart-lifting beat of this iconic pair as they continue to capture the world's gaze.